Have you ever noticed how a simple hug from the right person can instantly calm you down? Or how just hearing your best friend's voice on the phone can make a stressful day feel more manageable? There's something almost magical about it. The way another person's presence can literally change how your body feels. But what if I told you this isn't magic at all? It's actually sophisticated biological engineering, millions of years in the making. Hey everyone, I'm Ovid from Algoalchemy, and today we're going to explore one of the most remarkable discoveries in modern science, how our relationships literally shape our biology, and why understanding this could completely transform how you think about human connection. Let me share a story about a therapy client we'll call Amelia. Amelia had just gone through a medical scare, a suspicious mammogram that required multiple follow-up tests. Nothing serious in the end, thank goodness, but she spent 3 terrifying weeks not knowing if it was something more serious. When we asked about her support system during this time, Amelia, sat up straighter, and she had this look of pride on her face. And she said, "I handled everything by myself, made all my appointments, drove myself to every test, sat alone in those waiting rooms." I asked her how she felt doing all these things by herself. And I remember when she replied, her voice caught slightly, and she told me, that's what we're supposed to do, right? Be strong, independent, not burden anyone. She had glanced down at her hands before saying, "My mum offered to come with me, and my best friend kept asking how she could help, but..." She shrugged. I just kept telling everyone I was fine. That's what being an adult means, doesn't it? Handling things on your own. It's sad, but I see this all the time. Smart, capable people like Amelia who've absorbed this message that depending on others is somehow a weakness or a failure. We praise people for handling it on their own. We celebrate independence above everything else. It feels like this is what we're supposed to be doing. But here's what Amelia didn't know, and what most of us don't realize. When we go through stressful experiences alone, our bodies actually have to work much harder. It's not just about emotional comfort or having someone to talk to. Something profound is happening at a biological level. You see, your brain isn't designed to handle stress alone. It's constantly monitoring your environment, assessing not just for physical threats, but for something equally important, your connection to the people who help you feel safe. This monitoring system is so sophisticated that it picks up on everything from obvious relationship threats like your partner seeming attracted to another person, to even situations that might feel completely unrelated to relationships like Amelia's medical scare. And here's the fascinating part. Your brain processes both types of threats in remarkably similar ways. These ideas trace back to John Bowlby's groundbreaking work in the 1950s. He discovered evolution had wired our brains to make certain people absolutely precious to us. Not just nice to have, not just pleasant company, but essential to our survival. Once we become attached to someone, we form a singular physiological unit with them. I know that sounds like something out of a romance novel, but I'm talking hard science. Your partner literally regulates your blood pressure, your heart rate, your breathing, and even the level of hormones you have in your blood. When Amelia was sitting alone in those waiting rooms, her body wasn't just missing emotional support, it was missing its biological regulation system. In fact, let me share a fascinating experiment that demonstrates this vividly. Imagine this. You're sitting in a sterile lab room at the University of Virginia. Electrodes are attached to your body, measuring your vital signs, while you're lying in an fMRI machine. A researcher explains matter-of-factly that you'll be receiving electric shocks. They'll be random, and yes, they'll hurt. Your mouth goes dry, your heart pounds. Even though you know this is just an experiment, your body's preparing for real physical pain. Would you prefer to face this alone or have someone supporting you? This is exactly what Dr. James Cohen and his team set out to study. Using brain imaging, they watched what happens in women's brains as they anticipated these shocks. When the women were alone, their hypothalamus, you can think of that as the brain's stress command center, lit up intensely. This is exactly what you'd expect. The brain was preparing the body for that physical threat. However, when these same women held a stranger's hand, something shifted. The hypothalamus showed less activity. Just the simple presence of another human being helps calm their stress response. But remember what we learned about those special people our brains are wired to depend on. When these women held their husband's hand, someone they were deeply attached to, the change was much more dramatic. For women in happy marriages, the brain's threat response nearly completely disappeared. Think about that. Nothing about the actual danger had changed, but their bodies responded as if they were completely safe. What's even more remarkable about all this is that the strength of this calming effect matched the quality of the marriage. The more satisfied a woman was in her relationship, the more powerful her partner's touch could quiet her brain's stress response. If this doesn't prove the power of attachment to calm us, I really don't know what would. This isn't just about romantic relationships though. We see similar effects with close friends, family members, and even strong community connections. One study found that elderly people with strong social connections had immune systems that functioned like those of much younger individuals. Another showed that children who felt securely connected to their parents actually experienced less physical pain during medical procedures. These findings are essential because we're living in a strange moment in human history where we've completely lost touch with our biological reality. We're bombarded with messages like, be independent, don't rely on anyone, you shouldn't need others to feel complete. We celebrate people who pull themselves up by the bootstraps, and we admire those who never ask for help. We turned self-sufficiency into the ultimate virtue. And I get it. This messaging is everywhere. It's in the self-help books telling us we need to find ourselves before we're allowed to connect with other people. It's in the Instagram posts celebrating solo success. It's in the well-meaning advice from our friends telling us that we shouldn't need a relationship to be happy. We've created this cultural ideal of the strong, independent person who stands alone, never leaning on anyone, never showing vulnerability. But look at what's happening around us. We're facing a loneliness epidemic that public health experts are calling a crisis. Marriage rates are plummeting, more people than ever are living alone. And alongside all this, depression and anxiety rates are absolutely skyrocketing. We're seeing record levels of mental health challenges, especially among young people who've grown up in this hyper-individualistic culture. And here's something else that should really be concerning to us. We're trying to replace these deep, in-person connections with endless, shallow online relationships. Remember Amelia? When she posted about her medical scare on social media, she got dozens of sending prayers, comments, and heart emojis. But you know what she really needed at that time? Her sister's shoulder to cry on, the familiar scent of her best friend's perfume in the waiting room, the warmth of her mum's hand holding hers. 100 virtual hugs couldn't give her nervous system what one real hug could. Here's the irony. We're walking around with phones that can connect us to thousands of people instantly. We've got hundreds of Facebook friends, thousands of Instagram followers, endless streams of comments and likes and shares. On the surface, it seems that we're more connected than ever, but our brains aren't built for this kind of connection. We didn't evolve to maintain superficial relationships with hundreds of people we never see in person. We evolved to have a small, tight-knit circle of people we could see, we could touch and smell. Your brain doesn't care how many followers you have on TikTok. It cares about who's actually there, whose physical presence, whose voice, and whose touch can instantly calm your racing heart. This isn't a weakness or a character flaw. It's a culmination of millions of years of evolution. Our ancestors didn't survive because they were the strongest individuals. They survived because they formed tight-knit bands where each person's nervous system was regulated by the connection to other people. Those who could form and maintain strong social bonds were the ones who survived and passed on their genes. We are their descendants, literally evolved from the product of successful human connection. So, the next time you're drowning in deadlines, when your to-do list seems endless and your mind won't stop racing, pause. Instead of pushing harder, instead of isolating yourself to try to focus, do something that might feel counterintuitive. Reach out. Call that friend whose laugh always lightens your heart. Visit your mum and let her fuss over you like she did when you were small. Curl up next to your partner and just breathe together, feeling that steady rhythm of the presence beside you. Let yourself melt into a long hug from someone who loves you, and notice how your shoulders finally release their tension, how your breathing naturally slows to match theirs. Now, at algoalchemy, we understand that not everyone has access to the kind of close relationships their nervous system craves. Or maybe you're going through something so personal that you're not ready to share it with the people in your life just yet. And that's exactly why we've developed our online therapy platform. Now, a skilled therapist can actually serve that regulatory presence your nervous system is looking for. Through consistent caring interaction, they help create that sense of safety that allows your body to move out of constant stress mode. And because it's online, you can access their support from absolutely anywhere, maintaining that crucial connection even when life gets chaotic. Working with a therapist, it's not a sign of weakness. It's your body's wisdom, seeking exactly what it needs to thrive. So when you're ready to get the support you've always needed, visit us at algoalchemy.dev. The link is, of course, in the description below. And next time someone tells you that meeting others makes you weak, remember, science strongly disagrees. So, guys, thank you for exploring the science of human connection with me once again today. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. When was the last time someone's presence helped you through a tough moment? Or maybe you're more like Amelia and you're still learning to let others in. Your story might help someone else recognize the power of connecting in their own lives, so go ahead and tell us about it. And until next time, keep connecting, keep growing, and remember, your relationships aren't just nice to have, they're essential to your biological well-being. All the best, guys. See you next time.